Did you know that in each of our brains there are pathways that have been formed by following routines repeatedly? And did you also know that there are proven ways to make those pathways stronger so that your routines and habits will happen more easily without all the mental struggle? Today, we're going to talk about the effects of routines on our brain and how to take poor routines and replace them with better ones. So, what are routines, or what are neural pathways? A routine is something we do so often that our brains learn the pattern and they take over, so we don't have to mentally get worn out and we can multitask better. For example, when you drive home and you realize your brain helped you to make all the right turns and you never even thought about it, or how you went to Starbucks a few Monday mornings in a row and now your brain takes over and somehow you find yourself magically at Starbucks without even having made a decision about it. Our brains like to be efficient, so if they see something happen long enough and often enough, they'll make that path with one neuron firing to the next neuron automatically, so we don't have to think about every tiny decision throughout the day. This is why when we start something new or we move to a new place, we can feel so much more tired because our brains are working overtime because a lot of our set routines are no longer in place. It's like hacking through a brand new forest with no paths to walk down. Routines give our brains a rest and help us to have the energy we need throughout our day without the mental exhaustion. So you might be asking by now, how do you make or change a routine? So many of us have a kind of daily or weekly cleaning routine, a morning routine, a night routine, and other routines. For me, almost every Saturday morning I wake up, get dressed, let the dogs out, make coffee. This pattern repeats almost every day as well, so it's been pretty solidified into my mind by now, you could say. Repetition is key to solidifying a routine. The repetition starts packing down that brain dirt and making that path in your brain more solidified. The more the pattern repeats, the more your brain is going to take note and it's going to take over and do the routine on its own. The second thing to take note of is your emotions, because emotions solidify your routines faster. They're the equivalent of mentally stomping down the soil in your brain. And for me, it's things like the rush of happiness that you get from drinking your morning coffee, or just feeling good after a workout, or feeling happy that you got to see a friend when you were working out. Scientists say that if you want a morning routine to stick, or a routine of any kind to stick, it needs to be paired with a strong emotion of some sort. It can be positive or negative. Like, it only took me one time of microwaving something with aluminum on it to never repeat that again. A few weeks back when we were babysitting a brand new puppy, we had to get up a lot earlier to let that puppy out in the morning so that she could go to the bathroom. And because of that, I started noticing that whenever I would get up earlier, I would feel a lot better. I would feel more productive in my day. I wasn't rushing to get to work. And I really focused on how much better I felt after getting up earlier. So now I'm still getting up earlier because I kept focusing on that emotional feeling of relaxation and just calm that happened whenever I would wake up earlier. So repeatedly focusing on the positive or even the negative emotions that you feel when a certain routine is happening or happens in a way that you don't prefer will really help to solidify in your brain how to do that routine in a way that is positive and helpful. I even talked with other people about how much better I felt when I was getting up earlier, and because I did that, I hyped up the emotion and I made that neural pathway more solid in a faster amount of time. And that brings me to the third way you can really solidify a new routine or a positive change in your routine, and that's to incorporate people into that routine. People solidify routines. They're even more powerful than emotions. And that's why groups like Weight Watchers, AA, or even having just a gym buddy can work wonders in solidifying a more positive routine, because the accountability to a person can either positively or negatively reinforce us. For example, you can show up to the gym to work out and then your friend is happy to see you, but you might skip the gym and then you know your friend is disappointed you didn't show up. and maybe you're also a little disappointed that you let them down. People are that added layer of accountability that really help routines to be reinforced in positive and negative ways and can help you to set a new routine and make it happen. I was mopping our floor and realized my Swiffer Wet Jet liquid had run out, but we don't really have the $8 to buy another refill, honestly, at this point. So I decided to try a hack online that I'd seen where you can unscrew the cap by dunking it in hot boiling water for 90 seconds. You do need the 90 seconds. Then you take a cloth and you unscrew it. I'm gonna leave the link to the recipe I used to make the liquid to refill it, but it's basically just using things you have around your house like lemon juice or vinegar and a little bit of essential oils. And it took a little bit of strength to unscrew it still, but I was able to get it off, and especially after leaving it in a long period of time. If you leave it in too short, you really won't be able to get it off. But leaving it in the 90 seconds really helped me to be able to unscrew the cap, and I was able to add the different liquids and things and follow that recipe that I have in the link and make my own refill. And it worked out really well and makes my floor smell really well, and also I know I'm not putting tons of weird chemicals on my floors, which is kind of cool. It does leak a little bit, so I would advise to put it into your Swiffer after or onto a surface where you know it's going to be okay if it leaks, which my floors in my kitchen are laminate, so that's the perfect spot to stick it in. Once it's in, it won't leak though. It's only in that transfer few seconds where you're transferring it into the Swiffer mop again that it will leak a little bit. And it works like a dream. It looks really nice. It made my floor smell nice and fresh and look really clean and shiny. So highly recommend this, especially if you just can't afford some of the rising prices of certain materials nowadays. If you made it this far into the video, I'd love to hear below what are some of the things you do every morning during your morning routine, and is there anything you would like to change about your routine? I know for me, I still want to be consistent in waking up early. I'm doing pretty well at it, but there are some mornings where that snooze button is just so enticing. So what are some things you'd like to change about your routine, or what are some things that you do and make sure to include in every morning routine? Look at that hair. You can tell this is the door that our dogs come through frequently. I can't believe how much it piles up, and literally 2 or 3 days after I filmed this, it looks like this again. They just have so much hair on them. Now, in case you're wondering, it takes anywhere from 18 days to 254 days for a person to form a new habit, and on average it can take 66 days for new behaviors, new routines to become automatic, our brains to take over and just independently start performing those tasks without us having to think about them. One of my favorite ways to try to make sure that a new routine is picked up quickly is to pair it with an old routine. For example, if you know that you are going to wake up and drink your coffee every morning and you're trying to get more in the habit of taking a morning vitamin, sticking those vitamins right next to your coffee making station can be very helpful, because then you'll be able to get that mental reminder to take your vitamins. And if you're pairing it with something that you know you always do every single day, it will help to solidify that routine. So pair a new routine with an old routine. Right now, I'm trying to make over this coffee station. It's my special project for the day, because I tried to tackle one extra thing that I maybe wouldn't tackle every single weekend. I try to find something new or different to tackle as a small project that won't take too long, but that will help make a big difference in my day-to-day living. And you know, I definitely get my coffee every day, so this really is a nice reminder that I, did this and I can feel good about this area now, especially after seeing all that dog fur and dust. That was gross. I'm really sorry you guys had to see that, but that's how life is sometimes when you have pets and they are on the lower levels of things and just running past, the hair goes everywhere. And I know all of my fellow dog owners know what I'm talking about, but maybe your house doesn't get this bad. Who knows? But this is real life for me, so that's what my shelves look like. But hey, it looks beautiful now. I feel good about it. And these little things from the dollar store really do a great job at holding the tea bags in, if you wanted to know that. I love how this turned out, and it brings me a little bit of happiness every morning when I come and make my coffee. Next up is vacuuming the floors. Now, I tried to tackle one weekend, I'll tackle the bottom half of the house, and the next weekend I'll tackle the upper half of the house. I learned long ago that trying to tackle both during the same day is just not very feasible, honestly. And maybe if I spent the entire day cleaning, yeah, I would be able to do it. But honestly, I had other things I needed to do as well, so doing one half works well. Now we're going out to the garden. I wanted to give you a little update. You see my cilantro, which I didn't actually plant this year. It just regrew. I guess when it started seeding this last year, it regrew, and you can see my tomato plants. Look at those. They're starting to pop up. And of course, my cat is just enjoying life, enjoying the sun. And yeah, she loves it out on this porch. We're gonna water this bed. I have no clue what I'm doing with these plants. I am trying my best, but my thumb is not the greenest, and this is how my flowers usually turn out, so please help if you know what's wrong with them. And this is how the bottom half of my house has turned out. I love how it all turned out, how nice and clean it's smelling. I hope you all have learned something new about routines today, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one.